Welcome back. This is video 3 of Dating with Herpes, the workshop mini-series that I have taken from the book that I'm writing called Dating with Herpes and made it into this video series. And this is video 3. And if you don't remember, my name is Kimberly Johnson. I am a certified life coach. I'm a sex coach, and I'm so happy to be here with you. And I started with a small dance party because maybe, just maybe, you're feeling hints of freedom. Like small, juicy bits of freedom. And if you are, I want you to celebrate that. We so often in life focus on what isn't working, and we forget to celebrate what is working. And if this is working, celebrate it. And if you still have a ways to go, celebrate that because you're here now. So today, P.S. I did this earlier. I'm just going to keep wearing it because, let's be honest, it doesn't really matter. So today, video 3, I have a bunch of notes, which I haven't really been doing, but today I'm doing. So video 3, we're going to talk about, so video 1, I want to get clear on what we talked about. We talked about what is herpes. We talked about what is the body, like what is the body's job here, what our body's function is. And then we got really, really clear about our reality around herpes and then our storyline running in the background of herpes, okay? And then in video 2, we really took a look at reframing our storyline, like really recreating a story that has us feel how we want to feel in life. So empowered, strong, unique, whatever. We created that storyline, and we really based it on the way that we have a tendency to have wisdom, and we can share advice with people we really love, but we don't actually listen to ourselves from that same place. Like we can give other people advice and we think our advice is amazing and great. And we have that wisdom inside of ourselves to listen to ourselves as well. And so we took on writing a letter to our best friend or the person we're closest to, and then really reading that letter as if it was meant for us. And then we began also looking at the things that herpes has to teach us, the way that herpes is begging to be our teacher. And we looked at that. So go back to your notes if you need a reminder. And then we ended the session with a meditation about learning to accept your body fully as it is, and learning to not only accept it, but to honor it and love it just as it is. Remember, our bodies are meant to die and deteriorate and to catch diseases and to have viruses. That's part of the human mechanism. And then today, which I'm so excited, we're going to talk about what we are, like really what we are. And we're going to talk about what we want and how herpes can be an access, like really an access for you to get what you want in your life. Because I know it matters to you. Even if you're a little disconnected to it, like right now, like if you're a little disconnected, it matters to you. See, somebody's even honking for you. That's how much it matters. Okay, I'm trying to remember where I was. But today's video is about really like who you are and what you want. And it matters. It really does matter. It matters because in this lifetime, almost every single person I've ever talked to has a heart calling. Like certain things call to their heart, or certain things when they do it really resonate at a heart level with them. And when they're doing those things, they become in service to the world. And when they're not doing those things, they can very easily get resentful or feel heavy or hate their life. So that's why it matters. So let's talk about what happens if we don't know what we want, or if we don't know what matters most to us. So what happens is we kind of just become a byproduct of life, of what happens in our life if we don't have some sort of focus or foundation or underlying like deep draw to our heart that we're connected to. We kind of just become a byproduct of life. And when hard things happen, we actually think that life is just happening to us. And we are very disconnected from the reality that when we take an action, and that every day we're taking actions, that is actually leading to our experience in life. And when we don't have a direction, or when we aren't connected to something deeply within our hearts, even if it's like being a mother, or if it's helping the world, or if it's helping an immigrant population or the homeless, or if it's being a really successful career person, because that's what your heart is calling you to do, whatever it is, it doesn't actually matter. It could be painting, it could be dog walking, it could be anything, whatever is calling to you. And it matters because it's calling to you, and you are a part of this whole. You are what's making this world work. We all are together. But if we don't have that and we're not connected to it, we kind of just think life is happening to us. And it's not actually the way it's working. Like, you are the cause of your life. I'm going to say that again. You actually are the cause of your life. The things you do every single day are what you're practicing and what you're putting into practice that has created exactly where you are right now. Like, I was cause in having unprotected sex that has led me to having herpes and to be having this conversation with you. Like, I can take ownership of my life. And it really begins to like unfold whenever you get really clear about what matters to you, and you get really clear about what you want. And when you realize who you are, like really who you are, you're not the byproduct of life. You actually have say. You have say in the matter of your life. And I want the you have say in the matter of your life is what really matters. Because we're about to talk about what you are not. And I have a list. But we're going to start by, I'm going to hold up something and I want you to observe it. So I'm going to hold up this cup. You can see remnants of wine. And this is a cup that somebody made me, a dear friend made me. So I want you to just observe it. Like, what color is this? What color is this? What does it look like? What is the shape? What is the texture? Like, I want you to observe it. What is it used for? What is on the rim here? Like, really observe what's in front of you. And I'm going to ask you a question. Would you call me and say, hey, Kimberly, guess what? I am this cup. This cup that's gray and it's like this almost sandy red at the bottom. I am this cup. Would you call me and tell me that you are this cup? If not, why? Because you can observe it outside of yourself. You know that you are not this because it's over here and you're over there, right? Okay, so I want to actually suggest that there are a lot of things happening within your body, within the mechanism, within the machine of your body that you actually have identified as yourself, and you are not those things either. And here's the list. Your thoughts, your feelings, your storylines, what we defined in video 1, your reality, the things that are happening in reality, you also are not. When you had sex, when you had the sex that contracted your herpes, you would not say, I am that sexual act. No, you would not say that's who you are. So our realities, like my reality, I'm sitting in this chair. There's a computer in front of me. Like I wouldn't say that I'm anything in this reality. Like I'm not the chair, I'm not the computer, I'm not the book sitting here, right? Like the things that make up our reality, the like tangible things, I also wouldn't say that I am, just like this cup, because I can observe it. And I realize that I'm separate from that, right? Our body sensations. You would never say your headache, or you're the butterflies in your stomach, or you're the stomach ache that you're experiencing, or you're the leg pain, right? You would never say, that is who I am. And you would never look at your arm. Like, look at your arm really quick and start observing your arm, just your arm. Like, I have a tattoo here. It's flesh toned. I have freckles. I could count them. I have a hand attached. I would never say, I am this arm. No, right? You can observe it. You realize that if this arm got cut off, that you would still exist. If the body sensation were gone, you would still exist. A lot of people love to say that they're anxious. I'm an anxious person. And I want to say, if that body sensation went away, that you kept attaching yourself to, that said you are an anxious person, or the body sensation happens and then the thoughts arise of, oh, that's anxiety. That's anxiety in my stomach. I can feel the anxiety in my stomach. If those two things went away, if the body sensations went away and the thoughts about the body sensation went away, you would still exist here, now. When those things go away, you still exist. Hence, you cannot be those things. Frustrations. You are not your frustrations. You are not. If you're late somewhere and you're frustrated about it, you are not that frustration. You are not your anxieties. You are not your anxieties. You are not the things that worry you. You are not the things that make you anxious. You are not those things. And lastly, herpes. You are not herpes. Herpes does not define who you are. You are a human being before herpes, and you are a human being after herpes. Whoa, you still exist. And the reason you still exist inside of all of these things, and that they are not you, is because you can observe them. There is an observer, and then the thing with which you're observing. So there is some part of you, and I'm not going to get into like the super, super spiritual part. A lot of it is in my book. I would highly suggest you pick up my book whenever it's published, because I break down actually and allow you to really find who you are. You aren't your fears. You aren't your fears. You aren't the things that happen to your body. If you got cancer, you wouldn't say, I am cancer. Just like you got herpes and you're not herpes. Herpes is a tool. Herpes is something for you to catalyze your life. And it has been gifted to you. And it may not seem that way. And I get it. But it only doesn't seem that way because of your thoughts about it. And you aren't those thoughts. You aren't those thoughts. And I want you to just maybe close your eyes for a moment. Really close your eyes, ground both of your feet. Place both feet on the ground. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale with noise. Let's do one more like that. Inhale. Exhale. I want you to take a moment to find a body sensation in your body. Find it. Notice it. Is it a pulsing? Does it have temperature? Is it a churning? Is it a prickly feeling? What is the feeling? Just notice it. Define it for yourself in this moment. Notice it. Feel it. And then ask yourself, did I intentionally put this sensation in my body? Like, I want this feeling in my hands. I want this feeling in my stomach. And then poof, it appeared when you intentionally placed it there. Or did it happen on its own? Did it happen on its own, or did you intentionally place it there? And just ask. There's no wrong or right answer, just ask. Take a deep breath. Exhale it out. Get really still and silent. Now just bring awareness to your thoughts. And if you're thinking, I'm not having thoughts, that's the thought. If you're thinking, thoughts, can I find the thoughts? That's the thought. Notice what thoughts are arising. There's nothing to do with them, just notice them. Are you thinking about something maybe that happened before this moment? Or are you thinking about something that is going to happen after you finish watching this video? Just notice the thoughts that are arising. And then ask yourself, did I intentionally tell my mind to produce these thoughts? Like, mind, think this thought. Or did the thoughts arise on their own? Did I intentionally place this thought in my mind, tell my mind to think this thought? Or did the thoughts arise on their own? Take a deep breath. Exhale. Open your eyes. And just notice. Really think. I want you to be really present to the machine that you live in. That thoughts are actually the brain's job. The brain will produce 10 to 15,000 thoughts a day. That's its job. You aren't doing that. It's just producing thoughts. And nothing is wrong with that. In fact, it's function. The only thing that gets us like caught up is when we believe the thoughts and we think those thoughts are us. Like the thought, I'm not good enough, arises and we're like, oh, I'm that thought. I am not good enough. Instead of just being really aware of like, oh, I'm having thoughts, I'm not good enough. I can observe that. Or like thinking the thought, I'm having anxiety, and then your body sensations, and really thinking I am an anxious person, and like living out being an anxious person instead of bringing awareness to what's happening in your machine. It's a machine. If you could see all the parts of the computer, you'd probably be distracted because you're like, oh, this wire circuit is going here and this is doing this so that I can make this video, right? Just an awareness of what's actually going on. We just push play on the camera and we have no idea what's going on. But it doesn't affect us, so we don't really care unless like the computer stops working and then we're very worried about it, right? Well, we have no idea what's going on in the machine. And so it's just running our lives without our awareness. And we live really disempowered by them. We only do things if we want to. We only do things if it feels good. And so when we get the diagnosis of something like herpes, it feels almost like a death because we have to face the reality then. Life maybe isn't all butterflies and unicorns and roses all the time anymore. It forces us to actually look at life from the mechanism. And those things are our greatest gift. But most of us resist them. Most of us try to numb from them. Most of us try to hide from these things that are just part of the mechanism. So many humans have herpes. And I can really get how disempowering it feels because I used to feel that way. So I'm not invalidating where you are or how you feel because I get it. I've been there. And not too far in the past I was there. I really get it. And it's not who you are. So I want you to begin noticing the things you can observe, you are not. So if you notice you're having thoughts, you are not those thoughts. If you notice you're having body sensations, you are not those sensations. They're just occurring. And remember, they occur because of all your past history. All your past history. Our past history, our brain just pulls from all the thoughts of I'm not good enough or why is life hard, right? Those are things we've gone through in the past. Because the present moment, what's really happening is you're sitting in a chair. You're sitting on your bed. You're listening to my voice. This is reality. But we don't live in that reality. We live in all the things that have ever happened to us. And then we believe the thoughts that are arising about it. And then we believe our body sensations. And then we feel overwhelmed, of course. And the starting place is awareness. Oh, I'm having thoughts again. I can observe my thoughts. Oh, I'm having body sensations again. Observing your body sensations. Staying inside of reality. Oh, I'm sitting in a chair. Just noticing the difference it makes. Like really noticing. Oh, I'm having a fear arise in thought. I'm not that fear. I'm not that fear that I'm going to be rejected. It's just a thought. And then that, inside of that awareness, that pause. Awareness is a pause. You can ask yourself, what do I really want? And if it's love, then you ask the person out. Even if you have the fear, you become aware of it. You have the anxiety, you become aware of it. You have the thought, you become aware of it. You have the body sensation, you become aware of it. And you don't let it run your life. You bring awareness to it. Body sensation, thought, fear. And then you ask yourself in the pause, what do I really want for my life, for myself? A loving relationship, to be dating, a successful career, a body I love. Like, what do you want? Really, what do you want? And when you're clear, you speak it. So when I said, I want to write this book, it didn't become real until I started speaking about it and telling people I'm writing this book. And then it became really real because people would ask me about it. Whenever I said I'm going to put it into a YouTube series, people started responding like, I'm interested in your YouTube series. Can you send it to me when it's done? It made it real. And it kind of kept me on the hook right? When we don't speak things, things just stay in revelation, which I talked about in the first video. When things live in the mind, they stay as revelation, and we bring them into real life by taking action on them. So many people come to me and they're like, I want to date. I want to date and I want to have a partner. But they don't do anything about it. They don't ask people out. They don't get on a dating website because they have all the stigmas, and they love people dating this day and age love to use the excuse of dating's just different. Dating's just different nowadays. And it might be, but that's the reality. Things change, and dating is still yummy and fun. Trust me, I've been dating and I love it. I love it. It's your mentality about it that creates your reality. Because the reality is you contact someone, they respond. You contact someone, they respond. There's no emotion in that. There's no drama in that. You're just doing what you're doing. But our minds, create so much drama. Like, this isn't working, and this is stupid, and dating is different, right? Like, you can hear it. You can hear the mechanism, and it's all for safety and survival. There's nothing wrong with it. It's your machine is functioning, and that's really great. If it weren't, you'd be dead. So I want you to sit, and I want you to ask yourself, why am I watching this video? What do I want? What do I want? Why am I watching this video? And what do I want? Do I want to date, or do I want to love myself? Or do I want to be going full throttle in my career? What do I want? Why am I watching this video? Why do I believe herpes has been stopping me? In whatever I want. And this whole series is about dating with herpes, but if you want something else, this is the time to claim it too. To really claim it. To begin writing it down. So pause me and brainstorm. What do you want? What would having what you want make a difference for you? What do you want? What is your life worth living for? If you knew you were going to die in a year, what do you want? Really? We aren't promised tomorrow. So what do you want? And I want to say it's never the end result. I want to be clear about that. It's never actually the end result. We think that it's the end result. It's not the end result. It's who we become as we take action toward what we want. It's who we become in an everyday moment when we align our action with our heart and our mind. When we align mind, heart, action, we actually become everything we desire. And we really realize that the symbiosis between our mind, our thinking, having thoughts that are wholesome, recreating the storyline, right? Having these healthy, beautiful, abundant, empowering thoughts around whatever. So right now we're talking about herpes, and then connecting your heart to what do I really want inside of this conversation, connecting mind, heart, and then taking action on it. We actually become a different human being. And we become it in that moment. The moment you take the action, you actually become what you want. And you've experienced this before, and we talked about this in another video. If you want to be healthy and feel fit, and you go work out, you leave the gym and you're like, dang, right? You're like, I look good, I feel good, and then you walk into your office and you have swagger all of a sudden. And it's just because you took the action then. We become what we want when we begin to act in the alignment of what we want. So pause me and get clear on it can be one thing that you want. It doesn't have to be I want to change the world. It can be something simple like I want to look at my vagina every day, or I want to go on a date a week, or whatever you want. This is the time to claim it. I want to be a book publisher, that's not what I want. I want to be a writer who's published. And so that's what I'm working toward. My actions are in alignment with that. And I really want you to see what happens when we align it all and you become what you've been longing to become. And it is that easy. It is that easy. So pause me and get clear on one thing and then come back. Okay, I'm expecting that you have one thing you know you want and that matters to you. Like really matters, like would make a profound difference in your life. And if you don't have that yet, pause me again until you have one. And now you're coming back to me and I want you to think, like you're going to pause me again and I want you to think, if I were really moving toward that, what would my action steps be? If I were really moving toward that, what would my action steps be? And I want them to be specific. I would sign up for Bumble. I would ask that guy out at work. I would be eating one whole meal of vegetables. I would go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I would set aside 4 hours a day to work on my business, whatever it is. Like, be specific as you can be. And then I want you to I want you to pause me. I want you to be really specific. And just like 1 or 2 things, you don't have to change everything, just 1 or 2 things that you're willing to put your word in your mouth on the line for. Like really choosing, I have a say in the matter of my life. And then I want you to write down the 1 or 2 things that you're going to start doing. Like really. And then I want you to pull out your calendar and I want you to put it in your calendar. So if you use this, put it in this. If you use a paper calendar, you get it out. And you put it in your calendar. Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to the gym at 7 a.m. Or every lunch, I'm making a huge salad bowl. And like, that's going to be like me getting more vegetables. Or I'm going to drink 3 32-ounce glasses of water a day. And you put it in your planner, like before I leave for work, during work, I'm going to drink 2, right? Like you get specific. And then you put reminders in your phone or you put reminders on all over your mirrors. You create your life inside of what you want. Life is not happening to you. You're creating it. So create your life inside of what you want. And we're going to talk about how herpes, well, first pause me and do that and come back. Do it. You won't regret it. You won't regret doing what's calling to your heart. You won't regret aligning your action with what you truly want. You won't ever regret that. Pause me. Do it. Okay. Welcome back. Okay. Let's talk about how herpes is your access for this. So in life, we avoid things that are challenging. We just do. We live, if you look at our society, like I just had a conversation about this today with somebody that I don't really know well. And we were talking about how we see our parents, their generation, like doing things differently than we want to do them. And we were talking about specifically like the generation that went through the Depression, the generation that went through like mass farming, like when the farms became like, you didn't just feed your family and your community, you like started feeding the masses, like, right, this like huge industrialization of farming. And we were talking about how life in that time period before, right, felt really hard. A lot of people were farming, working all the time, having tons of kids. Things were like hard. There wasn't like science and medicine as readily available. People were dying of whatever because there wasn't this technology of science. And sometimes if your farmland didn't do well, then your family went hungry. Like it's real. Like that's what they went through. And then the Depression happened where everything was scarce and everything just suffered, right? And then you had the next generation. And this next generation, it became like mass production of everything. Like we had nothing in the Depression. So now we're going to mass produce everything. So everything is at your fingertips. And we're going to make everything easier because everything used to be hard. So we're going to give you this pill to solve this and this pill to solve this and this pill to solve this, right? Like And then like really easy food, like fast food, all these things, like to make life easier because life used to be hard, right? And that's like my parents' generation of like, I'm just gonna take all the pills and I'm gonna eat the fastest, easiest food, right? And then now, my generation is kind of coming back to this like watching everything, like even social media is like a part of this, like quick entertainment, quick entertainment. Like, and it's not just food and it's not just social media, it's pornography. It's like, let's get people addicted to pleasure and quick results and all these things, right? Like diet pills, like you can see it everywhere. Even like instant dating, like it's everywhere. And it's not all bad. It's not bad or good. It's just the way things have progressed. And we're in this like time period where like my generation is like, wait. I want to slow down and I want to farm. And I don't want to be a machine to the man, and I want to like start my own career. It's like there's like a shift happening, right? And so there's like this idea that things should be easy, and it permeates everything. I am like such a byproduct of it. I want pleasure now, and I'll eat sugar to get it, and I'll scroll on social media to get it. I mean, I want it now. And even like with like exercise or something, like I'll only exercise if it feels good, right? Like I can see it in my own being. And I want to be really straight with you. The things that seem hard or challenging or that keep coming up. So maybe it's weight loss, maybe it is dating, maybe it's getting off of sugar, maybe it's building a business that you care about, like whatever, and it seems hard and you keep wanting to quit or you keep quitting. That is your access point. That's why having this conversation about herpes, that's why you getting herpes is your access point. If you really, like the Buddhists say, and I said it in the first video, if you really go into your poison and you make it medicine, you transform the poison to medicine. That is our job here. And the things that we resist for a very good reason. The body is made for survival. And when we change things, we feel resistance toward it because the mind's like, wait, what are you doing? Wait, this isn't what you usually do. Wait. This isn't what you usually eat. Wait, survive. This feels weird. Don't do it. You're going to survive, right? We're not being chased by bears or dinosaurs anymore, so the brain is constantly finding freakouts in the little things. It's normal. Your body wants you to stay in homeostasis. And homeostasis is exactly what you do every day as a pattern. It's just a patterning. That's it. And so your body, like literally your body starts feeling resistant because it knows growth is about to happen. It knows change is about to happen, and it doesn't want you to change. But that's where the goodness is. Like the negative story you're holding on to about herpes is your pattern. It's not doing anything for you. And for you to begin to let it go is scary, because then who would you be, right? It's like, it is like a fear of death. Then who would I be? I've already created this whole identity around herpes, like I'm a victim to it, or it's going to make my life harder, or like, I don't know if I'll ever date someone or find someone I love, right? Like it becomes this identity that your body, your mechanism, your machine wants you to stay in. And there's nothing wrong with it. And my computer keeps going. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's completely perfect and okay. It's the mechanism. It's the machine. It's what the machine's supposed to be doing. And you don't want to hold on to herpes forever, the negative storyline about herpes forever. And in fact, there are many people, and I am kind of the child of this, that if you change energetically, like if you raise your vibration energetically around your thoughts around herpes, your outbreaks lessen. And I'm like totally a byproduct of, I believe it, because I've witnessed it. I used to have maybe like 5 outbreaks a year. Now I have like maybe 1. And it's because of how I've changed my relationship with herpes. And it's changed everything. When we change our relationship to the things that really have us stuck, our whole life changes. I'm going to say that again. When you change your relationship with the things that really have you stuck, so if herpes has you stuck, by you entering into the poison and transforming it to medicine, your whole life will change. I promise you. I promise you. And it's by doing the exercises in video 1 and 2, and then it's getting really clear right now about what you're not, starting to observe everything, thought, phone, cup, pen, and then you really get clear on something you want, and you just start taking action toward what you want, and not because you want to. You're going to have tons of thoughts of, I don't want to ask that person out, even though when you ask yourself, what do I want? You're like, I want a date, but you're like, no, I'm not going to ask that person out. My thoughts say I'm going to be rejected. My thoughts are all fearful, right? No, that's a thought. What do you want? Same with food. Like, so many people come to me with food, and this is something that, vulnerably and transparently I share with you that I struggle with too, because food is my comfort. But people come to me and they want to lose weight, but they're not willing to recognize when they say, like, oh, yeah, I want cake right now. Yep, I'm going to go to the store. I want cake. I feel it. I need cake. It's like they're not willing to do the work around identifying, like, oh, that's a thought. This is a body sensation. Like, I'm feeling like for me, my version is like, oh, I'm feeling like I need comfort. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling like I need comfort. Something warm, like I'm going to go get a coffee. I'm going to get a pastry. That's like, has been my go-to, right? Like, I need a coffee and a pastry and then I'll feel better. And I do for about 5 seconds until I guilt myself for eating the pastry. Like, it's like a whole thing. It doesn't actually comfort me, but it's what I'm used to. It's the pattern. It's the thought. I feel uncomfort. My brain's like, eat a pastry, get a coffee, right? It's the pattern. And I can break the pattern when I say, like, oh, that's a thought arising about me wanting a pastry. That's a body sensation of, like, discomfort in my chest. And what am I committed to? I'm committed to my health. Like, I'm committed to eating well, because that's what's also creating this machine. What I put in comes out. And so I'm dedicated to putting in really healthy things in my machine. And like, I'm like every human being walking the planet. I want to be fit, and I want to, like, love my body and my clothing. I want to feel comfortable. And that's what I want. That's what I'm committed to. And my thoughts don't have to break my commitment, but they will every single time if I'm not aware it's just a thought and it's not me. I don't actually need the pastry. Like, that's insane. Nobody needs the pastry. But we are very, very it is not kosher to feel uncomfortable. We will do anything to not feel uncomfortable. And herpes is your gift of feeling uncomfortable so that you can get used to it and you can work through that, because that is the gold. When you can learn to move through the poison to create medicine, to transform it into medicine, you have learned the most beautiful skill. And also, life is a life and death cycle. We lose things. People die. We get sick. We get herpes. And this is a way for us to practice life. And we can really stay committed to what we want instead of all of the mechanism running the show. We can stay committed to really what we want by taking actions. So you wrote it in your calendar, and it's time to practice. It's time to follow through, even if you don't want to. The don't want to is a thought. It's not who you are. You aren't a rebellious 3-year-old that's like, I don't want to. No, that's not who you are. You're something far greater than that. You are an observer of all life, and you have heart callings, and you have things that you want to do in this lifetime. And if herpes is stopping you, it's only because you're allowing it to stop you. And you have some action steps now, like really some action steps. And I want to just challenge you to begin acting that way, connecting your action steps with what you want instead of connecting your action steps with how you feel or the thoughts that arise, right? Like you say you're going to do something for like a cool project, a volunteer project, and then the day arises and you're like, I just don't want to. I just like would rather lay in bed. Like that date last night went horribly. I'd rather just lay in bed. And that's not what you're committed to. You're not committed to being a person that just lays in bed. I know, because we're all the same. None of us are committed to that. Are we committed to taking care of ourselves? Yes. And by us going after what we want, we are taking care of ourselves. I will tell you, making these videos, I don't always want to. And I do it, and when I'm done, I feel like who I truly am, an empowered woman. A powerful woman that's here to do great things in the world. I'm not stopped by the thought I don't want to. I'm not stopped by the thought of like, this isn't going to be perfect, so I probably shouldn't do it. No, I'm not stopped by any of that. I'm here as a witness. You can see me. And then just go out and try it. Don't believe me. Go out and try it. Keep your word to yourself. Keep your word to what you really want, to what matters to you, and you'll notice your life change. And I know you're not committed to being the victim of herpes anymore. I know you're not, or you wouldn't be watching this video. You're committed to something else. And herpes is not who you are. Herpes is just something that occurred in your body. It's something you can observe, like, ooh, I'm getting an outbreak. Or, ooh, I'm in a really beautiful opportunity to have a really powerful, courageous conversation with someone. And so that's actually, if one of you, which I hope one of you, my hope and prayer is that one of you are wanting to have a conversation about having herpes with somebody that you're starting to have feelings for, that you care about, and that it's actually time to have that conversation. And we're going to have that conversation now. I feel like I should have put music on, I know. But I love this conversation so much because, so we're going to talk about the conversation, the herpes conversation when you're dating. That is like everyone's arch nemesis. Nobody wants to do it. It feels awful, and I get it. I used to be there. I get it. And honestly, until I became so socially like out there with having herpes, like putting it all over the internet and writing this book and making these videos, like I was terrified. And then I just one day decided like I'd rather help people than stay in the story, you know? Like I really took that on as a commitment. And so, but I want to help you have that conversation because there's two ways to have that conversation. The first way is like this. I'm so nervous. So there's something I need to tell you, and I'm like dreading telling you because I care about you so much and I like you so much and we're having so much fun together, and I just want to tell you, like, if this is like a deal breaker and you like don't want to be with me anymore, I so get it. I like so get it. And oh my God, I just don't know how to tell you this, and I'm so terrified to tell you this. Okay, so like a few years ago, I had sex with this guy, and we had unprotected sex, and then I got herpes, and you know, I really like you, and I like want to like, I can tell this is going to get physical, and I really want to get physical with you, and but like if this is a deal breaker, I get it, like I so get it, and you know, you don't ever have to see me again. I get it, and I won't like judge you for that. I get it, and you know, it's like it's a big deal. Herpes is such a big deal, and I'm so sorry that we're having to have this conversation. I'm so sorry, and okay, so you get it. And if you've had that type of conversation before, I get it. And you're not alone. That was what my conversations looked like for years. Oh my God, it was so painful. And sometimes it was like right before, like we're like getting undressed, you know? And then it like, the person is of course, so I want you to look at how that conversation looked. The person is reacting to how you're being. And when we tell someone, even if we go on dates with somebody and we don't have herpes, it does not mean we're going to have sex with them. But for some reason, we think since we have herpes, it's definitely not going to happen, like, right? And what we bring to that conversation is we actually, you can hear it in the dialogue I was saying, we tell them how to act. So like, you don't ever have to talk to me again. This is so awful, right? Like we are telling them how they should feel and how they should act. And that is not our responsibility. But that is how we communicate. And this isn't the only place you communicate like that. You're like, hey, Betty, I really need you to do me a favor, but like, you don't have to. I'm such a burden. You don't have to, right? We do this. It's human nature. We do it. Because if we come up with the scenario, if we tell them like how to feel and how to act, when they act that way, we aren't shocked and we're surviving. Look at the machine. When we tell them how to be, we tell them how to feel, we told them how to act, like, it's okay if you reject me. It's okay, this is a big deal, right? And then they act that way, we're not surprised and we're safe. That's why we do it. And it's not authentic communication. So that's the first way. And that's the way that I did it for years, and I got exactly what I put out. And then I hated men, and I thought they were all assholes when I didn't realize that I was one putting the energy out there. So then there's a second way to have the conversation. And it sounds a little bit like this. Hey, first I just want to tell you like how much fun I'm having with you. You're a blast. And every time I'm with you, I feel so connected, and I love our conversations, and I just like love being around you. And I feel just like so honored that I get to spend time with you. And, you know, we're hanging out a lot more nowadays, and things have been getting a little bit more heated, and I love that. And, you know, I just wanted to talk to you about some stuff before we kind of take our relationship down that path. And the first thing is I was diagnosed with herpes about 3 years ago, and I got it from this guy that I was seeing at the time. And I have done a lot of research about it, and I am very clear about what it means for my body and what it means for my relationships. And I just like, before we go any further, I really like honor you and want you to know that information and to know what sexual relations with me and like what it means. And I want us to be able to talk openly and honestly about everything. And I just want to really be an example of that and really start a relationship from that place. And I just really care about you, and I want to give you time and space to like ask me questions or to think about it or to do your own research, and just know that I'm here and I like really adore you, and I'm excited to see what the future holds with you. Okay, so that was 2. I want you to see the difference in like just owning what is going on with you, like fully, like just owning, saying what is without the storyline, without the drama, just like saying what is, and really just acknowledging another human being that you're dating, that you're being intimate with, that you're getting closer with. And like really respecting them and honoring as a human being, as like by you being vulnerable and by you communicating what's actually going on, that you give them full ability to choose you. And I want to say this about having this conversation. There's a time window. So let's say that you just start hanging out with somebody, and then you're like, you do the conversation, either conversation, but the person doesn't know you, then they're just judging you based on something that is highly stigmatized in Western culture and highly stigmatized sexually. And if they don't know you well enough, then that's all they're going to judge you. They have nothing to weigh that conversation with, like on with. So it's like, I want to offer to you that you slow down and you get to know people before you share the intimate details of your life with them. And that you like really share that information, that this information about you having herpes is sacred to you. It is your like greatest gift. And when you like fully know this person and they fully know you, or like they know you pretty well and you know them pretty well, by you sharing new information, they have it to like weigh against all the other amazing things about you. And they're not just like hearing this conversation on like a second date and they're like, I don't really know you, and like that's a risk that I'm not willing to take. Like, of course. Like, I want you to think about it. Like, there's a timeline, and there's a sense of respecting yourself, of like not putting yourself in that situation where you're like sharing that information with somebody that you don't know. And then of course they have the ability to judge you and make you feel a certain way because they don't know you. And it's sacred information, and who enters your body is sacred. Who touches your vagina or who touches your penis is sacred. And they're not the only one that gets the say. You get a say too. And by you coming to the conversation fully yourself, fully empowered, fully confident, then whatever the answer is just what the answer is. And it doesn't mean anything about you, because the truth is that you want a real relationship that's authentic and really connected. You don't want a fake relationship that's based on not what's reality. And reality is that you contracted herpes. And I want to tell you something. The second I changed the way I had this conversation, like the second I really changed how I was having this conversation with people, like getting to know them, having actual conversation about it, nobody cared. I'm going to say it again. Nobody cared. I have a track record of people not caring. It doesn't mean I dated all of them, but they didn't care. They didn't judge me. They responded with how I put it out there. And they respected me as a human being because they knew me. And they made the decision with all the information they had, not just one date and then herpes. So I want to leave you with that. If that's your action step, go take it. Or get to know the person and then take it at a later date. But really, and maybe write down the conversation that you want to have, like your dream conversation. Like, write it out. What would my dream conversation sound like if I was sharing this information with somebody I cared about? And then practice it. Practice it with your family. Practice it with your best friends. If you haven't told your best friends, this is a great time to practice telling them. I didn't tell anyone. My parents didn't know I had herpes until I got divorced. And then they were like, why didn't we know this? And it just takes sharing. And when you share, people actually know you. It doesn't mean anything about you. It's just a part of your life experience here. And if people don't want to sign on for that, that's okay. You don't want to sign on for them either. I wanted you to get clear about that. Relationship is not one way. There are two people. And just because you have herpes does not mean that they get say. You have say too. Own your voice. Own your voice. And then come to video 4, ready for more goodness. You are amazing. Keep going. I'll see you in video 4.